Hello, guys. This is Anand Jha. I'm from Nili Games and Future Technologies, and we're going to talk about the rise of browser game strategies of growth and user retention. We do have a good panel with us: Nikita from Playhope CBDO, and Ying, Senior Business Development Manager, Xiaomi Technology; Rafael from VP of Marketing from Crazy Games; Balaji, VP of Publishing from FRVR. So, how you guys are doing?
Good.
Great.
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 Good,
How's
good.
the gaming market right now?
Awesome.
That's awesome. So, Nikita, I have a question for you. What are Playhope's key strategies behind scaling to 45 million users on your browser game platform? How do you balance monetization and user experience?
Uh, it's a good question, my friend, and I could answer it for like 30 minutes, but I will try to make this long story short. So basically, the industry landscape is changing. The traffic is becoming more and more expensive, and of course, a lot of mobile developers are searching for additional revenue, for additional traffic, and web is returning to the big industry and is becoming this kind of source for additional revenue for all developers, not only mobile, but also games from Steam are appearing also on the web. And I would say the other big thing is that web is not only for hyper casual and casual games no more. So for now, we see a lot of mid-core titles on web with in-game purchases and basically another monetization that is not very traditional for the web. And our main goal, and I think the same is for RAF, for Crazy Games, is to provide the player with the best experience in one-click reach. And the main challenge for us is to keep the player on the platform. So to make him interested in the game or in the games he is playing. So this is the biggest challenge for the web. And another good thing that basically all game engines are providing technical solutions for developers that allow them to bring even heavyweight builds to the web with a high level of optimization that allows a player not to spend too much time while he waits until the game downloads or uploads. And for now, I would say that we're doing very, very well. And the potential of our part of the market is huge. And we have a lot of more things to do. But where we are now, I would consider it's a great progress since last 3 years.
That's awesome. That's great answer. Zing, I have a question for you. How does Xiaomi integrate browser gaming into its mobile ecosystem to drive daily users engagement? How does Xiaomi's ecosystem boost game engagement?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the question. So as you know, Xiaomi is like a huge brand making devices for human and car and home. And among that, mobile phone is actually one of our biggest bestseller all over the world. And in terms of our smartphone selling, we have like almost 14% of market share globally. So right now we do have two different game centers hosting HTML5 games for the developer. So one of them is our mobile app, standalone app game center, which we call the Xiaomi Game Center. And another one is, of course, embedded within our Xiaomi browser. So we do have two different platforms distributing HTML5 games for the developers. So as you know, Xiaomi is selling a lot of phones globally, and our market share in the emerging markets is growing super fast. And also, we are getting the number two or number three market share in the high value market, for example, the European market and also Middle East market. So if you are making HTML5 games, you should definitely come to Xiaomi Game Center and see if we can actually help you with the user growth.
Great. great. So is it online or is it integrated within the mobile phone itself? The game center, like game center.
Yes. Yeah, so as a smartphone manufacturer, we first will preload our standalone Game Center app into all of the phones that are selling globally. So, and also our browser is also pre-installed on all of our phones, and you will find a button at the you'll find a tab at the bottom to enter into our browser Game Center. And so these are the two main entrances to our both of our game centers. But also you'll find a lot of different engagements between different medias within the Xiaomi ecosystem or the HyperOS system. So for example, you can see we can have a game card in on our -1 screen that you can either engage with a standalone game, a specific game, or you can engage with a set of games that you are recently playing or you love to play. So you will see different kind of entrances within our ecosystem leading you to the browser game. And we also create this kind of ecosystem for the developers and for the players to actually have easy access to the games that they want to play at one click.
Awesome,
Yeah.
that's great. Thanks for the answer. Rafael, I have a question for you. What user acquisition channels deliver the best retention result for Crazy Games browser audience, and any plans beyond ads for monetization?
Beyond what? Sorry, I didn't fully get it.
Any plans beyond ads for monetization?
Okay. So I mean, to be honest, I think the best users are the ones like that they come through word of mouth. So if I'm if I'm championing a game to a friend, they're more likely to play and to stick around. That's why we're thinking a lot about multiplayer games because I mean they're a natural way about engaging those users and providing more experiences on the crazy games level. We built a lot of features like friend invite, so you can really play by click a link, boom, you're playing together, very easy. And I think it's all about like there's not, I don't think there's so much about a channel. It's more about like you know where are you, like are you kind of part of the discovery, so you're trying to find where to play, and then you're gonna come and experience the platform, see the games, and then you're gonna stick around, or maybe find something that you really like, and then you tell your friends, then you champion the product for them. So I think obviously we it's all about like getting the attention about the users, like when you're talking about user acquisition, right? So I mean the mobile industry is heavily built on crazy creative, sometimes they even lie about it and everything. And I feel like for us it's more about like, so once the user gets to know us, it could be that it comes over SEO, could be that comes over TikTok. I mean we're very active on TikTok. um, you know does this user find the experience that he's looking for, and I think and then from there have the right experience for them to to keep coming back, right? And yeah, so I think for us we try to be everywhere where we think our audience is, and YouTube is playing a big role right now, and try to use the same language that they use, right? So especially when we're talking about Jane Alpha, how do you communicate with them? So all those stuffs, like especially talking about marketing, that's something we consider. But obviously, I mean, there's traditional user acquisition, there's campaigns that we run and everything. But yeah, I would say it's hard to pinpoint about it. It's mostly about the user experience, really. And then for in terms of monetization, I mean, I think we go much better. If I work in the web game industry for more than 10 years right now. If you would ask this question 5 years ago, you'd say like it was only ad based, right? But now these days we're starting seeing like the rise of in-app purchase, the rise of subscriptions, and I think that's just the beginning. There is nothing preventing the web to get to parity with what the mobile landscape has. Obviously, there's a lot of added service that join the mobile space to make it what it is today, right? So there's service providers that add optimization tools and analytics and so on. And I think, like, those I mean, we have conversation with a bunch of those companies as well, and see that there's an interest about them joining, with already a few of them being part. So, and I think those, is, you keep adding value and try to, increase the CPMs if you're talking about ads, or tracking if you're talking about, like, in-app purchase, for attribution. So there's a bunch of things that are happening on the background, which makes me very happy about it. So even we're here saying, like, yeah, it's going pretty well. I'm very, very, very bullish about what's happening in the next 1-2 years, and I think that's, so it looks very promising.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks. Uh, Balaji, what makes HTML5 an ideal technology for scaling browser games across platforms and devices? How do you monetize without App Store?
I mean, the answer is kind of partly in your question, right? Like HTML5, you can access from anywhere and from any device. That's like the holy grail of HTML5, right? And you're not like tied to any App Store or Play Store bureaucracy, or like, let's say, the walled garden that used to be. Second thing is, at least from a cost of user acquisition perspective, we all know like how expensive it has gotten in the app stores or play stores, right? And H5 is kind of cheaper for now. Maybe it gets expensive when you have, like, I don't know, like hundreds of us, right, in the next 5 years. And right now, I mean, the for what's there for the players and what's there for the publishers, right? These are the two essential questions. What's there for the players? Like, it essentially makes it possible to just send a link over your WhatsApp or over email, or even like we have like a HTML5 FPS game called Krunker. I don't think any other technology or any other platform that has a similar game gives you the ease of you just creating a play link and sending it to like 40 of your friends, right? And then them just playing together, like having a battle royale, or like 8 to play a competitive match, right? So the ease of getting in, it also comes with like its own challenges. We can talk about it later. And what is it for the publishers, especially publishers? There are two things, right? One is like unlocking new audience. Is the way you publish, obviously. It's about like saying, hey, you know what, I have like plateaued on my app store or play store or whatever, and I want to unlock new audience. This obviously gives you a much more larger variety of audience, which might not be as I mean, qualified is the wrong word. Let's say you don't have as much insights as a Play Store and App Store does, because they get much more data than a web platform would, right? And it's not apples to apple comparison. You always have a lesser retention on web, because it takes a lot for players to remember your game's link and come back to. You can have your icons or whatever, but you can't compete with the, let's say, softness of what you can achieve on an app store. Or maybe someone like Xiaomi can, because you kind of reside on the device. And then for the publisher, it's about like, what's the intention of me going to this audience, right? Is it about additional top line revenue using the same technology? Like someone mentioned earlier, it's possible to just have a Unity build and have like a WebGL export or whatever, right? What you have to do is like optimize for each of the initial loading and loading, as well as like the progression experience on each of these platforms. They come with its own nuances. Or is it about, like, say, with the new Apple's ruling, is it about like saving those 10-30%? I mean, you don't save 30%, you pay something to the payment provider on your web as well, right? Is it about that, right? Is it about increasing your bottom line? But again, it's not like really frictionless, right? Because you're asking a player to trust you as a brand. Like me, for a player, it doesn't change anything. I'm paying the same $30 to you, and then saying paying the same $30 to Apple or Google. And if I'm like I don't know, like the generation alpha audience, then it's something my parents have already put money on my wallet and I just use it, versus like putting the credit card on the file, right? Which is a much bigger like friction. um, so it's about like, which battle do you want to choose, right? What do you want to go to the web for? So again, like what we do as FRVR is like, we also publish on third party sites. Like we publish on Xiaomi, for example, we publish on Facebook or Discord, and we have the larger third party audiences, except for like some specific games which are greater for first party. So it's more there, it comes to more about like not just publishing there, like what kind of audience does the platform have? B, what's the audience behavior on those platforms? Like the audience behavior on Crazy Games is completely different than the audience behavior on Facebook, right? There is like more social. What are the social features that you incorporate in the game? Not just by slapping them on, but they should be like in line with your gaming experience, right? Do you unlock rewards that unlocks you to emote as a avatar in Facebook, right? That's the big question for the next 5 years if you're on Facebook. In Discord, it's more about the meta experience that you have outside the game, right? So it's about like, a, can you get like the cheapest audience possible on this for your game? Does the audience of this platform match? And b, and the third thing is like, does your game provide the ability to incorporate those features to provide depth and the social experience for the players, right? In the end, we all want the K factor, the magical K factor, to grow our games cheaply, and each of those platforms have those unique things, right? So from my perspective, it's not a one fit all solution. When you go to web platforms, if you have your own first party platform like Crazy Games or PlayHop or Xiaomi, then of course you have like a platform strategy and not a game by game strategy. It becomes too expensive. But if you're a single game publisher, or if you have like 3 or 4 games, then you really have to think about like which platform suits my need best, and then what do I want to do with this game.
Okay, okay.
I hope
One
that answered
technical,
your question.
yeah, one technical question, if you can answer. How about Safari browser? How you manage Safari browser on iPhone?
What do you mean? Like, what's the specific question?
Some issues we face normally on Safari browser when we actually work on HTML5.
I mean, on the latest version, there was some. I mean, on you also have it on Apple's log that they are working on that issue, right? It's specifically with the latest iOS version 18.1 or one of those versions. I believe there was like a change last week that happened that solved the majority of the issue. It was affecting probably 2.1% of our user base, but from the last fix we did, that reduced to less than 1%. Again, like Apple wants you on the App Store, right? So I wouldn't say like anything is intentional or not, but if you're dependent on a platform like Apple to change something on Safari, which probably is not in their best interest, you have to see if that's your best bet or not, right? But again, it doesn't impact more than like 2% of the user base in my experience. Maybe other people in this panel have different experience, but yeah, that's something you take into account while going on Safari, right?
Okay. Thanks for the answer. Ying, I have a question for you. What challenges and opportunities do you see in promoting browser games on Xiaomi's global platform?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I'll take maybe the first aspect is over the overall games quality that we have right now. So as you see, we have our own like traffic coming from our phones. So what we're gonna do is we will try to actually use this serve the users with the best classics of games. So right now we are struggling with providing like more new quality games for the developers. So as a platform, we will take the performance of the game, or we will determine whether our you players love the games that we are providing, of course, according to the metrics that we are collecting. So, as you mentioned just now, or as Balaji just discussed, cover a little bit about. So, for HTML5 games, a common challenges that a lot of developers and publishers and platforms are facing are the low retention rate. So, right now, what we are trying to do is first we have added some special features like smartphone manufacturer ourselves. So we are helping our developers to actually add some shortcuts into the desktop so that the users can actually have direct access to their favorite games just and engage with the game just like an APK. And but if you're not like, to be honest, if you're not working with Xiaomi, you can still do this because you can still use the PWA technology provided by Google and use this kind of technology to help with your user acquisition. So that's also feasible. And so maybe back to Xiaomi, what we're going to do is try everything we can help in terms of of platform feature to help developers tackle with the retention challenge. As a platform ourselves, we really need some more new games that can generate good engagements with the users. So that's the biggest challenge we are facing right now.
Okay, thanks. Nikita, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
How do you ensure long-term retention without sacrificing fun and engagement in casual browser games?
My friend, without sacrificing what? I didn't get it.
So, how do you ensure long-term player retention without sacrificing fun or engagement in casual browser-based games?
My friend, to be honest, I didn't understand your question. What do you actually mean? Can you maybe say it in other way for me to like pick
Okay,
up?
so other way is uh, in long-term player retention.
Mhm.
How much how much do you think that fun and engagements are important?
Uh, I would say that we can work in these directions on several levels. So level number one is product, because platform it's like a living organism. So it needs to entertain people to get them more involved. And for instance, I think Crazy Games did a great job with this. And I like the way how the player journey works for Crazy Games. And a lot of things already happened on PlayHop in this direction also. So this is level one. Level two is a game, basically, because the hyper casual game, however great it might be, cannot keep a player for a highly long term. Maybe there are some exceptions for this. Maybe there are super fans of some kind of a hyper casual games and they play it like on an everyday basis for 2 years. Maybe there are this kind of exceptions. But this is also a reason for web games platforms to move into direction with the mid-core titles. And Raf was saying about this that it's also a big thing that is happening with our part of the market, because mid-core title can be fun for the player for a quite a long period. It might be a year or so. And also, the great mix here is that on the platform, a player don't need to play only one game. He can play mid-core title, and after this, he can play several others, hyper casual games, just to get a bit more relaxed. So for us to provide the players with this kind of experience, to engage them as much as possible, basically for a long term, we need to work in two directions. First is the product, the platform itself, and the second is the variety and the quality of games that we are providing. So I would say these two things are the decision here.
Okay, another question for you. I want to understand the monetization strategies that trends to work best for browser-based games.
Monetization strategies, right? Mhm. So, in terms of the monetization, we have, I would say, two main directions. Let's start with the ads. And I also see this kind of question in the chat right now. So, first of all, the main thing for the platform is to provide developer with the technical instruments, with the technical decision. All decisions about the rate of ads, the format of ads are made on a developer's side. So basically, the platform cannot push developer to add more and more ads to the game. But at the same time, the platform cannot provide a lot of traffic to the game where the RPU is low, correct? So the platform is searching for the best scenario uh, for the player to connect him with the relevant game where the performance in terms of business should be also very high. And of course, every developer, every publisher is searching for the best possible middle ground where the monetization level does not affect the user experience heavily. So this is a goal. And for the platform, the goal is to provide all possible instruments for the ads. To add something specific and useful here, definitely the strategy for the ads works in different ways for different games and different genres. You can use formats. For instance, it can be a sticky banner advertisement for the desktop that does not affect player experience a lot, but still it gets a great impact in terms of revenue. Also, rewarded videos are working great. Interstitial are working great when the placements are correct and they does not ruin the player experience. And the second big level here is in-game purchases. And it's very important also to change the rate for the ads in case if a user is making payments. A lot of games are missing this moment. For instance, you play the midcore game and you've made a payment. You have bought a pack, a starting pack or something, and in this case, the game should react to it. And for instance, you can show less interstitial to this kind of player, and it's very important also. So, in terms of the in-game purchases, it totally depends on the game. This is where the developer's expertise is working best. And of course, last 15 years were a great experience for the monetization in game. And we as a platform, we can make some suggestions or advice to the developers. But when we work with the experienced guys, they usually know much better how to put the monetization strategy for their current game. Of course, there are lots of like cool practices that are used by the market. I think for all people that play games and work in game industry, these things are very transparent for now. But of course, it depends on each game and on each player experience that you guys see. It's very important to be deep in the metrics to monitor what is happening when players stop playing your game, what might be the blocker for it, and how the ads or the monetization affect these scenarios. And I think it should be very clear, basically, for all game developers. So uh, I shared some insights for the ads, but for the in-apps, our developers know much better.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks for the answer. Raf, I have a question for you. How does Crazy Games optimize game discovery and session time on its platform?
Um, well, that's a big one. So we do several things, right? Of course, we have like an algorithm which measure, different things, like the retention of the game, like the location where this game is being played, and there's a bunch of things that comes into, so we can provide, in terms of the discoverability, that you find something that's relevant to you, right? And I think that's something that we've been working over the years. You're always learning. There is no It's not like, oh, you sorted this equation and then it's fixed. I think, what the one we're seeing is more like, um as whenever we start adding games that have like more depth, or games that, that the player, that they show like more interest visually as well. I think the visual appeal is it's a big one for the web. Historically, the web was, I would say, a little bit of a wild west in terms of like, games. But it's still the web, right? That's also another thing. Very often I work in the game industry for like nearly 15 years now. If I tell you that I know 100% what actually works, I would be lying. Sometimes you see really beautiful stuff, multi-million dollar projects on the web. We have that these days, right? Like we're talking about like, a US team of 50, 60 people working more than a year in a project, and they come to the web. And sometimes you expect like, okay, this is gonna be like the killer, right? And then it just doesn't for any reasons. And sometimes a project that's made by one person in a week, it has very doubtful graphics. It's still fine intelligence, right? Like right now, this is also another thing that I think is quite interesting on crazy games. Particularly, we sort of become, I would say, like a good thermometer from pop culture. So now you start seeing this brain rot kind of games popping up, right? I think we're the first place where a game like this actually came out, which was more than nearly 2 months ago or something like this. And then start seeing like this is also the beauty about the web, right? Where things iteration is quite fast. You can get something really quick. If it's really high quality or not, then it's up to everyone to judge, not for me. But they bring engagement, right? And I think that's also something that we consider like moving fast as well, understanding what the player wants, and then being part of like this cultural movement that's video game is, and being there, right? And I think this also helps overall. In the long-term retention, and also creating this behavior for the players, right? Because that's I think there's some really great comments about retention here before, which as a platform, that's exactly what you want, right? You want to create the behavior, the muscle memory, that you can come back and the experience whenever you're ready, however your situation is. Either it's a 5-minute session or is a 2 hours time that you have to play, that the game it's like there is a game for you to play, and that the experience is par with whatever other platforms, and then just getting a hook here. I think that's also another a huge strength about the web, right? You have this cross device, cross platform possibility, so it's really strong because you can start it on your mobile, and then after you can play the same game on your desktop, and the experience, even though it's different, the game is still the same. And I think that's also something that we're seeing, with the increase of technology, and also the development of the new modern browsers, and things like this. So you're able to bring, if not exactly the same, a even better experience that you have on native games. I've seen this happening on crazy games, and I think this is also what helps together, with the discoverability about the game. So the player knows, that they will find the game that they want. And the last point is it's like the content parity, which I think that's something that we're seeing more and more. If you open the top 100 games on mobile, you will find a lot of them on the web these days. And I think that's also something, over time, people get used to it. And then we start seeing these on comments on TikTok or emails that we get and say, like, well, the experience is actually better on crazy games than on the game itself, right? So, yeah, those are some of the elements.
Okay. Another question for you: how you manage duplication of the gameplay, along with what kind of gameplay you want in your game? What you look in the gameplay at at your platform, Crazy Games?
So you mean like what kind of games would work on crazy games? Would that be
First,
more the
first, first
question?
my question is the duplication of the game. Suppose match three games are there. So lots of match three games are there on the browsers, right? People are
Yeah,
coming and playing match three games, and how suppose like earlier we talk about that they don't remember what what game we played on browser, right?
yeah,
They
that
play one match
happens.
three game, then they play other similar match three games. So how you manage the game duplication at your platform? Along with that, what kind of games you look from the developers who wants to publish games on your platform?
Yeah, so that's a great question, right? Like, because yeah, it is indeed. Like, I think we have like 15 bubble shooters, so it's hard to know which bubble shooter you want to play, right? At some point, you go like, but one thing that Crazy Games does, we have a very strong curation, right? So we receive like, I don't know, many hundreds of games every month, and we only publish a fraction of it, which means like we don't publish stuff that we don't think add value to the platform. So this is one way. I mean, obviously, there's there's a cost about like reviewing everything and actually going around. But we think after, for also in terms of discoverability, the user knows that what we have, it's quality. So that's one part of it. And so I would say, like, if there is a new bubble shooter, for instance, just make a parallel here, will probably be one that has an angle or has an element that the other ones that we have don't have, right? We also trimming our catalog quite a bit. So if a game is not maintained, if there's bugs, they got sunset. So and so we try to work with with people that are doing live ops and have an interest to keep working on their game. So I think that's some of the things. So and in terms of what sort of games really work on Crazy Games, there are two ways. I think at least the business team on Crazy Games does. One way is obviously trying to emulate success from other platforms. So if you have a game that's successful on Steam or on the Google Play, obviously there's I think you have a higher chance of success than if it's a new title. But at the same time, we also looking for innovative gameplay. So and from there we just play. I play a lot of games. That I love my job because of that. Like I play a ridiculous amount of games. And I think that's also something that we always trying to find a new mechanic, and we giving feedback to the developers and try to do this together with them as well. And more recently we've been also very active into doing game jams, because we think game jam is a place that where developers or young developers they have time to explore and try something else, repurpose new ideas, and really, we did one with Unity last year, which we went super well. We got like over 2,000 people registering, like a lot of, and many of those games actually came to Crazy Games, and some are doing pretty well. More recently, we did one with Photon for a multiplayer game jam, and we have a bunch of other plan with other game engines this year as well. And I think that's kind of like we it's really hard. Again, if I tell you like I don't know what it works, it's hard. We give our best, either if it's based on data or based on our opinion and our know-how in terms of catalog and audience that we have. So we, I think it happens very rarely that we pass on a game that we see it's successful somewhere else, kind of. So which I think it's that's something that I personally I think our team is doing pretty well.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
I think most of the people who actually came this conference must have answer must have got the answer. Okay. So Balaji, how does FRVR approach user retention differently in browser?
Again, it depends on the platform the game is on, right? Like for example, on our first party game Kronker, it's a first party website. It's only attracts people who want to play first person shooter, or it attracts the friends of the users who are playing the games. So obviously we have like the best retention over there. But when it comes to, let's say, games that are on like Facebook or Discord, it again depends on the user behavior there as well, right? So to answer your question, there is no one single method to that you can apply across every game, right? At least the way we publish. Again, we don't publish mass for one platform, right? It all depends on like how does the game appeal to the users other gaming behavior. If someone like likes puzzle, and obviously if you are able to like get them get your game in front of them, which is a puzzle game, you have much better retention. And then what is crucial, I believe, for retention in these platforms, and maybe it applies to other platforms as well, is what do they do outside the game. One is you have your game sessions or whatever, but what do you do in between sessions and what do you do in between games, right? Like if I can engage in some kind of a social behavior with my friends in Discord, for example, is super tight, right? Imagine you have a Discord server, you have like 10 friends playing one game. Then let's say my I have like I'm playing like a puzzle game or daily puzzle game, right, on a Discord server. Then let's say I have like a Discord server with like 20 friends or whatever, right, playing the same game. And when I wake up in the morning, I can see like, oh, you know what, these people like solve this puzzle. So I now know like what time they wake up, right? Now I know like two of my friends like solved their puzzle in like 3 minutes, so I know that. And the next day they solved in probably 10 minutes, so I know today's puzzle is harder, so maybe I need to like drink an extra cup of coffee before solving the puzzle, right? That kind of like meta engagement or behavior that happens outside the game, that's very key to retention. The other thing is like your leaderboard sensor, right? People can figure out when it's fake as soon as like, as long as it's like really real and you have like some kind of a and especially when you can tie it in social platforms where you can tie it with real friends, that's amazing, right? Because then you're competing against friends or friends of friends. But if it's like some random stuff, then you need like a better integration, like a clan feature or something where you're part of some clans that's achieving something together. For me, these are more important in driving to having better retention than the game itself. You can go as deep as you want for a game, but again, you can't serve for mass audience, and web is kind of mass right now, except for like if you have a game like Krunker right now, then you decide, you know what, I know this game is only for 40 plus male or like 45 plus female or whatever, and I don't care what the drop off rate is, as long as I'm going to like serve my game to this very small cohort who are going to monetize for a much longer time of period, so I'm going to make my game retain only to them, right? And one key factor I found, one good way of measurement I found in the web especially, it's like what we call like the two-step retention. So basically, you disregard everyone who had not had the second session, right? So in the web, it's easy to like get into, unlike like a mobile store discovery where you see a video, you get an idea of the game, you go to a landing page, you get a better idea, then you download the game. There's no such filtration process in the journey of discovery of a web game, right? So most people have their first session by mistake, or unintentional, right? Or because their friend sent a link and they're obliged to click on it, right? So a good way of measuring your retention to just disregard those users and have your funnel from the second session onwards, and then you get like a better clarity on who do you want to focus your retention strategies on, right?
Awesome, awesome. Thanks. Uh, Nikita, there is a question from audience from Sayak Mitra. Given browser-based games often tends to be free mini games, how much profitable is it in the longer run in terms of user retention or in-app purchases?
Uh, I would say that there is a place for every type of the games and every type of monetization. So, free mini games with ads will continue to be popular, and the subscription model will be driven uh, as more high quality content appears on the web, as much more audience will be visiting web platforms on a regular basis, and to play some good mini games or hyper casual games, it might be not a problem for a higher percent to make a small payment and to not to see the ads basically. From other hand, free to play mid-core games or hybrid casual games will be also more and more on the web, and some of them already can be found on playhop for instance, and they appear to be much more and more from month to month basically. And this kind of monetization will be also very actual and popular. I'm sure that the other big step that might happen is the appearance of the premium content. So basically, the content that can be uh, bought for payments, and this also would work great with the Steam games, for instance, because Steam games are not made like on a free-to-play basis. They are made on a premium basis when a player needs to buy them one time and receive all amount of content. And when this kind of developers are trying to adapt to the free to play basis, it does not perform well. They are having, I would say, 1% of the paying users or like 2%, something like this. And on the ads, there is not too much space for them to add ads. For instance, they have a long level, and it's impossible to put interstitial into this level because in if you will do this, it will be a very bad experience. For instance, if you're playing a platformer game and you're going through the level and like facing enemies, and in sometimes the game will tell you stop, there will be interstitial right now. It's like a huge problem for a player, and it might be not very real for him to continue playing after this. So the thing that will appear on the web, maybe in some close future, maybe like in period of 1 to 2 years, I would say that the premium content will appear, where the players will need to buy it and to receive basically all access to the game content. Maybe the only ads format that might be kept in this situation would be a rewarded video for a player to receive some kind of additional bonus. So basically, for us on PlayHop, in terms of like some kind of technical decision, all these types of content might appear, and all the work on our developers side, I mean on the product side, is basically already done. We have subscriptions, we have payments based on our SDK, we have all types of ads, and uh, we're basically ready for the premium content, and we've been using this kind of model only for the kids content basically in the past, because it's like, I think my colleagues understand me very well here, because it's a problem for you to monetize the kids content with ads. So basically, the only way to promote this kind of content is to provide some kind of like a trial version with few levels, and after this, if you like this game, you might buy all other content to be open to you for some kind of payment. So the answer here is, on the web, all types of monetization will be actual, and I would say that most of them are already actual for us.
Great, great. There is
Just,
a
sorry, I just want to add one thing to that
yeah.
question of given browser games often tend to be mini games. I think that is changing very fast, right? In the last, like especially in the last 2 years, and it obviously depends if so your platform supports mini games, sure, but there are very very high quality long tail games on browsers as well, right? Like our Trumper is a classic example of us where like it's a mid to hardcore free to play multiplayer game. So that perception is a little bit old school, I would say. And of course, the monetization depends on the kind of game. Like on Trunker, for example, we have 80% IAP and 20% ads, right? On some games, we have like 20% IAP and 80% ads. So I would say that that knowledge is a little bit needs to be revisited, or that perception needs to be revisited.
Perfect. So another question from this answer. So single player versus multiplayer, what game perform well?
Doesn't matter.
No.
Right, really doesn't matter. There's no holy grail there, right. The multiplayer, you have like this advantage and the problem. People pull in players, but also if it's a multiplayer, that it's a behavior that I play with my friends. I will not go to the game when my friends are not online, right? So you have this like double-edged sword there, whereas a single player game, I don't care like if my friends come or not. I go there because I enjoy the game. And there are like literally like there are like billion-dollar turnover single player games, right? Like probably more than like multiplayer games. So it really depends on the, if you design it to be a multiplayer game, then you do your user acquisition accordingly, you do your monetization accordingly, and then you might get away with not having a progression, but then your monetization, for example, if it's a shooter game, right, it's a skill based shooter, then it's your monetization heavily depends on a content treadmill. You need to keep bringing cosmetics. Whereas if it's a single game player game, that depends on like then you build systems like that don't depend on you playing with some other players, right? You can have pay to win there, but whereas like in a skill based game, you can't have pay to win features as well. So really, you have to pick. The question is like, who is this game for? Why does this game have to be multiplayer or a single player, right?
Perfect, perfect. One open question. How might Web3 or blockchain technology impact browser games?
Want to
Anyone
see
can.
who's gonna pick up this one?
I
So we're gonna pick
mean,
up.
I
we can
don't.
go from our, like, a very super simple answer is like, it's not in our focus, right? So I'm the
I
least
think
knowledgeable person on this table to answer this question. I mean, I do know how it works, but we don't want to, as a company, we don't want to go there because there's so much to do on the non-web, on web 2 as well. And without blockchain, it's a fantastic technology for people who know how to use it and leverage it. We don't, and then we
also
don't want
also
to, right?
also really. I mean, I think there's so much already in the game industry as a whole, right? Like the Web3 element, it makes sense in very few cases, in my opinion. Which is, I yeah, I as a company, we're looking from far away. Personally, my personal opinion was like, yeah, I try once, even I was like, no.
I mean, it has to go back, like, progress from, in the beginning, at least. A lot of Web3 solutions and gaming it was a solution trying to find its problem, right? The moment it turns the other way around, like, you find a solution for a real problem, then you might
You
have
just
something.
you just add more friction, right? It's like really top of funnel for me. It's like after in-app purchase, after subscription, then maybe feel really good if you have that skin that you really like. You might want it to have this somewhere in
And the
the
question is, like, what does it offer that Web 2 doesn't, right?
yeah,
And then if you're able to find an
and
answer
more
to that
friction.
question in the context of your game and platform, sure.
Yeah.
I would
In
add
Telegram,
here,
it's like pay to win, right? It offers or maybe the other platform. When it's a clear pay to win, or offer was, maybe there's a straightforward case. But again, what does it offer that Web 2 doesn't? I don't know. We
Nikita has
need to
something
go.
to say.
yeah, I would add here that in general, we have the same position that colleagues mentioned. Yes, Web3 has a potential, but as for now, we're not working directly with this kind of games. But the specific thing I would mention here, maybe Raf also has the same experience. I faced several projects with the budgets for development like $2 to $3 million, and they were based on the blockchain technology and both on Web3, and they were using cryptocurrency as like in-game currency. And the very specific thing for me was like, guys, why you actually need it? You've built a great game. You've invested a lot of money into the art, into the gameplay, into the story, into the lore. But the blocker for you basically is the crypto aspect that you believe in so much. And this is like a mystery for me. It's like the mystery of how they find this kind of confidence to be sure that investing like $5 million in this kind of game in the end will be successful, when it's a problem for them basically to partner with a lot of players in the industry. So this question is on hype right now. Some people are ready to invest a lot in this, and we see this kind of projects on the market, but we rarely can find a project that become a real hit. And all these investments that were made in the game, they basically uh, it's like a developer is able to earn as much just to make this business profitable. So this is a problem.
And you add a little bit more, like a lot more friction for the user, right? And then this just for mass appeal, friction is just it kind of like, especially with web, it's kind of like completely the opposite, right? We try to make as easy as possible for the player to get inside the gameplay. So if you have to register, have a wallet, I don't see my kids ever doing that. For instance, like
So we have 6 minutes left, and I have another open question. How do you see browser-based games from here till 2 3 years from now?
I can take a hit on that
Please.
one. So we're seeing some really crazy stuff happening right now, right? So we have like development of web GPU, which it's really crazy what's possible on the web, and I think that's kind of like the next frontier, right? So we're right now we're kind of in the wave of like this hyper casual mobile transitioning and of terms of content. And I really think like in the near future we'll be seeing like some really high fidelity graphics, performance. Obviously there's there's work to be done, both in the game end side and on the browser side as well, but it's looking very promised, right? So right now we're looking at demos or already kind of experience where play that the user can already play and feel, and feel this new graphics, and I feel this is what's happening, and we're very happy to have great partners that are pushing the maximum and really trying to see how far can this go. And I feel like, so one way to imagine is really at some point the browser experience will be on par of anything, because there is in the technological side, sure, you have to do optimization and have to look at, but you can do already quite a lot. So 2-3 years from now we will be seeing some stunning games. I think that's what I believe, plus great monetization.
So how about cloud gaming? Are the same?
No, no, not really. Like, I mean, cloud game has a lot of problems because like it's expensive, right? So it's simple as that. And plus the user needs like a stellar internet and need to be, there's a reason why this is not, everywhere. Of course, there's solutions out there. I think the guys from now GG, they try a bit, but I mean, I think it's like, to make this financial viable, it's very tricky. There's some new solutions popping up, like Knocking to Stall, which tries to run this like some partially on the client side, partially, and which looks interesting. But at the same time, I'm way a stronger belief that things will happen on the client side as well, especially now with like um, AI coming and helping development improvements and a lot of things. So I think this is how what we'll be seeing. It's more like really browser based games and really good ones.
From the developer's perspective. So, what is the rev share you prefer with developer?
Um, how do you call? I think that's I play hop is first.
Yeah, it's about how is the developer payout calculate on PlayHop and Crazy Games. Also, what are some example earnings for smaller games on these platforms?
Uh, so the question is about the revenue share, correct? Here, uh, we we try our best not to make deals with the custom revenue share. We try to keep it on a classical way, as like a standard conditions for us. And the reason why we choose this kind of condition is because we provide the whole amount of the traffic on the platform. And for our partners, it might be developer, it might be publisher, they don't need to buy traffic. They don't need to have a spends for the user acquisition, comparing with the mobile stores where for now it's like for 99% impossible to receive some kind of feature for free or to receive some kind of traffic for free. In this situation, the revenue share is 50-50 between the platform and the developer. There are cases when we might consider some kind of a customized revenue share, but we try our best to keep it on the standard level, because for us it's much more easier to build all the accounting process and to be like more and more transparent for our partners. Um, so the basic question is like this. The basic answer, sorry, is like this.
Thank you
And
so much. Yeah,
what,
thank you so much. We had a very good session with Nikita from Playhop, Ying from Xiaomi, Raf from Crazy Games, and Balaji from FRVR. I'm sure everybody enjoyed the session.
Thank you so
thank you.
much.
Thank you. It was a
Most welcome.
pleasure.
Thank you.
You guys, I mean, audience can connect with these platforms offline
Sure.
from the
Cool.
link.